everybody. Welcome back to Balance Banter. I'm your host, Kristie, and today is a really, really special episode. So, first and foremost, as you can see, this is the first time we've ever done the podcast on video. So, super excited to be here in 221B, the new podcast studio in Bluffton, South Carolina. If you're out there and you are local and you have your own podcast, definitely come check Matt Holmes out at 221B Podcast. And we're inside Grind Coffee Roasters, as you can see, which is so great that we get an excuse to come in here and have a coffee. And I also am excited to have my amazing husband, Frank, here joining me on the podcast for the first time, right? I think this is the first time I've ever brought him
behind
on.
the scenes.
Yep, he's been behind the scenes for a very long time now. But I'm going on 2 years on the podcast, so I'm surprised it's taken me this long to get you on. Had to get you on the whole kit and caboodle with the video and all. So excited to have you all here and be here and have him here. I've told my story a lot before. You guys all know my history with mold exposure, Lyme disease, mast cell activation syndrome, POTS, all the things. My life got completely turned upside down. But what I haven't really talked too much about is the effect that this journey, this journey of being gaslit by doctors, this journey of spending lots of money, this journey of not being able to do the things you want and follow the dreams that you have. I haven't really talked too much about the effects that it has on your significant other and your spouse. We've been through a lot together in the past few years. So I'm excited to have him here and talk about, the outside of being involved in the chronic illness, and how it brought us closer and how we're trying to change the grain with this new balance app that we're creating together. Yeah, so let's get to it. So Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for finally being here. So something crazy that many of you don't realize, and I've mentioned this to you before, but it's kind of crazy to fathom. You only know me sick, right?
For the most part,
For the most part.
Aside from the, I guess, 3 intro months when we started dating. But I think as early as I can remember was that first Thanksgiving to my parents, really, when you started not feeling well, and we were making the trek from Westchester, New York, over to Long Island to spend time with our families.
Yep.
And it was a rainy day outside, but inside started to get rainy. Little did we know, that would kind of have a snowball, but I think that's the earliest I remember.
Yeah, so that was my next question, was like, how early on did this, like, do you remember this happening? And do you remember, like, when did it start to seem like it was getting really bad, that it was really starting to take a toll on me and on us? Like, talk to me about, like, from your view, in the beginning of our relationship, like, what you were noticing, and how it started and when you thought it really started to go south.
Yeah, it's easier to think about now in hindsight. Definitely a few things came up. Mostly it was around holidays and vacations, because we overindulged at those times. So we thought not really too much of it, right? Like, we thought a few extra drinks or some extra desserts at Christmas time, or we went to Dominican Republic and you had a reaction there. Yeah. Maybe it was too much sun. So we didn't think it was something bigger than that at the time.
Right.
But afterwards, after we spent a better part of our early relationship going to the gym together, doing fitness-related things, challenges, lifting heavy, and seeing that recede, and it really took a toll on your fitness, I think it started to settle in for me.
Yeah. just like not going to the gym and changing careers even, right? Like getting out of the fitness world on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis and things like that. So, I mean, after the reactions started becoming more and more prevalent, right? You're talking about they went from, just when we overate or if we went out on a trip and things like that. But then it started to happen every week. It was then every day. Then I started working out less, things like that. And that's when, we started seeking help. Like,
Yeah.
we saw an allergist. He had no answers, right? I'm not allergic to anything, but you are having anaphylactic reactions.
Right.
But you're not allergic to anything, right? So that's when the doctor train started. Like, how did it feel being not the patient, but my supportive, spouse, and going doctor to doctor appointment with me and seeing it happen and everyone telling me I was fine? Like, I know how I felt, but how did you feel in those situations?
Yeah. Unpredictable. Like early on, it wasn't as extreme. Sure, you were tired and things of that nature. And we went to, like you said, the allergist, several other types of doctors, and there was no talks of like, maybe really bad illnesses like cancer and things like that. So it wasn't that scary early on, but it quickly became that way after we had exhausted visiting 10 different types of doctors and had no answer and had no path, and things progressively got worse, is when it really started to take a toll on me, because I'm an engineer by trade and I look to solve problems. And for me, watching this problem occur, but really not being able to contribute other than help you to appointments and make a few calls here and there, or continue to work so that we can pay for these things
Mm-hmm.
and possible treatments or supplements or things to try. Like, that's all I can really do. And it leaves you feeling like, as a spouse, pretty subpar. Like, you're not ever doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that part is very tough.
Yeah. I mean, as the person who was sick, it felt, that I could never do enough to get better, right? I did all the things. I did the right movements, I did the meditations, I ate the right foods, and I was still constantly sick and no one could tell me why. And I could see how that left you also feeling helpless because there was nothing else you could do either, essentially, other than fast forward. My illness got so debilitating, right, that I couldn't really work anymore.
Right.
I had to, go down to part-time work that required very minimal physical activity. And you essentially were taking care of me financially at the same time. So that financial stress, I can't imagine how taxing that was on you. So let's dive into that, right? So even just mold exposure alone, we're talking now the specialty doctors, the amount that cost. Then you throw in the mold exposure, and now the question is, where is it in the house? Like, talk about how you were feeling when I barely could work, but we had to do X, Y, and Z to fix me, right? And it all required massive amounts of money, and it all kind of fell on you.
Yeah. Like you said, the hunt for mold. At first, you don't really want to believe that it's your own home
Yeah.
causing the issue. Many times it can be that. And we looked around. There's nothing blatantly obvious to the
Mm-hmm.
eye. So then you start hiring professionals, or people you hope are professionals in the space, but it is a very loose space in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we had several people, vendors, visit the house, do their checks, get the signal that the coast is clear. Um, your dad even came down from New York and
Mm-hmm.
we bought some moisture meters and searched the house, searched the attic, the floors, walls, outside the house, everything. With nothing really turning up. Whether we're correct or not, you don't really know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it adds up in terms of expenses, and then the doctors you are seeking that understand these problems are not your typical, oh, it's covered by insurance type of doctor. So you're paying out of pocket as you would getting legal advice, maybe not down to the 15-minute block, but costly for the half hour or hour call. And, the doctors feel for you, but we did have some along the way too when we ran an extra 10 minutes over. Like they were banging us for an extra whatever.
We
And
felt like a business transaction.
yeah. So that takes some of the, care part of medical care out of it for me, and what anyone's, I think, image of health professionals are, and that was tough to stomach because I grew up thinking, oh, the doctor's there to help you, and I want to believe that, and we've just had mixed results there, which is unfortunate and tough to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been so many times, right? We were in pure survival mode, would you call it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the amount of guilt that I felt for, wanting to spend the $8,000 to rip out all the carpets on the second floor, not knowing if there was mold in there or under there or not, but just feeling so desperate that this is what we had to do. But I'd say there were times you didn't necessarily agree. Like maybe we didn't need to do that or spend that money, and money was flying out the door. So, and you were solely responsible for all that money coming in. So those survival mode times, I mean, I just sitting here right now, like can feel the pit in my stomach, like the anxiety and discomfort that I felt with you and I going through those time periods together, like super disconnected. Would you agree? Like we were
Yeah. I mean,
on the same page that like we both wanted me well, but because no one was helping, like sometimes we became disconnected in what the right route was
right.
to get the help, so to say. So with that, like I could see you know what time periods I'm talking about and things like that, where we like had to muscle through with our relationship. Like, how do you think that this whole situation has brought us together closer right here, right now? So like for those people out there that like right now, what a spouse is super super sick, they're very uncomfortable, barely living, but maybe there's a significant other that agrees or disagrees, and there's a lot of tension in the relationship and it almost feels like the relationship might not survive this. Like, tell them, how do you think we got through this and how are we closer today from it?
I think communication's been huge. It's something we got better at over the years. We spent so much time together in person, both working from home.
Yep. Like
And
not barging into your office when you're in the middle of a meeting to talk to you about where the mold is in the house.
yeah.
Yeah, noted.
And yeah, just working on communication all the time. We've done therapy together.
Yeah.
We've done the work at home together.
Yep.
And I think neither of us want to ever quit anything. So that goes a long way. Like that's just in our nature. And that's what eats at us with this problem entirely too, right? There's no playbook, there's no plan, there's no roadmap, there's no certainty, there's no guarantee. That's what part of the, at times when we disagreed on financial decisions or other decisions, those were our opposite perspectives of like, you want to try this, but I thought maybe there's no guarantee that works. So then should we go that route? And on top of your feeling badly, guilt, health, I'm feeling guilty being healthy,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a not healthy thing to be feeling.
Yeah. Can you just like harp on that one more time for a second? Because I think, with us being sick all the time, I'm speaking out there to those that are going through this. Like, something we don't realize is the guilt that our significant other might be feeling that they are well. Like, dive into that a little bit. Like, what kind of emotions that brought up for you?
Yeah. I as the spouse, you're always looking to be that rock, that solid piece, when things are tough. But like anyone else, you only have a certain amount of willpower and uh, just energy to keep fighting that fight. And even though I'm not struggling as much with my health day to day, I can still go do my jujitsu or work hours on end and not sleep and pick it up again in the morning. Uh, it doesn't mean that I sometimes am exhausted and that it's hard. But I often felt that I can't feel that way because I know I'm not going through 1/1000th of what you're feeling, and I know I'm allowed to have a down day, and I know you want me to have those days, but it's still difficult to just let myself have those because of what you're going through. So
Yeah.
that's been one of the biggest struggles for sure, and we're both exhausted for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Exhaustion is, I would feel like the big the big word to
The
just
theme,
the theme to slap on a chronic illness healing journey, right? Just
yeah,
exhaustion from the actual diagnosis, of exhaustion from the dynamic between how it affects your family, exhaustion from the financial burden, exhaustion from the medical system, navigating, you finally get a physician to agree that you need, say, said medication and you can have it, but then takes 3 more weeks to get it because the debacle with the insurance. But then you find out there's a compounding pharmacy that can do it for half the price. All the things, just, it is a full-time job
yeah,
to deal with this. So I feel like exhaustion on both sides is just the main theme of the whole situation. So in this past year, in 2025, right, I have found some healing myself, made some improvements, and decided that all of my pain was going to be turned into passion. Pain, passion, purpose, right? That's just how I am. I feel like all of this had to happen for a reason, and now I have become an integrative practitioner, and you and I are making some changes that we're going to talk about to the amazing Balance app. So I this year would say that my gut finally came around to the fact that this isn't something that I should be complaining about, so to say, anymore. Not that I complained at all, but I need to take this energy and I need to turn it into good. And you've recently hopped on that bandwagon with me with the Balance app, but I'm curious, when are you even there yet? Have your emotions come around to that, or like, when did you feel that there's got to be a bigger reason for all of this?
uh, I don't think I'm as far along as you are
Yeah.
because you're still fighting it,
Yeah.
and you're my wife and partner, and I want you and us to come out of this hole, but starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it was you watching you reinvent yourself with the becoming an integrative practitioner, different from the gym trainer.
Right.
and I know your credentials were more than with exercise physiology and everything, but what generally people would have understood as what your profession was a
Yeah.
gym trainer. And having gone through the fitness space and training bodybuilding with you, and originally getting into it for health purposes and realizing there's very little to do with good balance and healthy lifestyle in
Right.
that domain. Um, I think pushing the app idea where, you're up against the Pelotons and all of that, and understanding that going down those roads, they become obsessions and actually unhealthy in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like scoreboards and leaderboards and who calls their circle first and all of those things. So I
Right.
think you making that transition to the integrative part and to focus on your own health and question marks and seeing the results
Mm-hmm.
of you backing off of just going as hard as you can, like plowing through a wall if you had to, fitness wise and workout wise, and
Right.
doing the meditations and focusing on breath work and uh, relaxing to better yourself and eat healthy and not binge enjoy on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and then work out really hard 5 days a week. I think that's when I started seeing how that could benefit other people
Yeah.
and how we could then manipulate the app and modify in a way that we would hit a better audience that way and really do some good in the world, because losing 3 pounds is great,
Right.
but at what cost, right? And so I think changing people's habits and educating them on how they can better themselves physically and mentally to live a better life is a much greater goal and puts a lot more good out into the world.
Yeah.
And that's what's really starting to change for me and the vision of where we can take this.
Yeah. So, like he said, we, had our balance app that Frank here, the software engineer, was able to build during some of my darkest times because I could not stand up for
Right.
on many days, let alone train anybody physically. So we were able to enter the workout space in the App Store, thanks to his software engineering skills. But like he said, we were very much one in a million apps out there,
Right.
right? To lose those 3 pounds that you talked about. And again, nothing wrong with wanting to lose 3 pounds and all those things. But competing with things like Peloton and Beachbody and all the other things out there, like you said, I was essentially just a trainer. But moving forward, I am excited that we are, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people have our story, right?
Right.
I think I looked up the stat this morning. 130 million people are suffering from one or more chronic illnesses. That's insane. 76% of Americans. So yeah, like would they all of those people need to move more, but there is no space that is created for these individuals like myself, right? And those dealing with autoimmunity or MS or chronic Lyme or these things that are going to affect someone lifelong. A Peloton workout's going to be great for them on one day, but on another day, that Peloton might not be happening, and it might not be happening for a whole week. And that's where this Balance app rebrand comes in. And I'm so excited that we're going to go from hopefully one in a million apps to one of a handful, if any. From what I can tell, it doesn't seem that there are many or any apps out there that are encompassing these individuals that are struggling on a daily basis, whether it be a good day or a flare day, or maybe you're somewhere in between to be able to navigate Um, so gentle workouts will be included. Habit tracking, right? We talked about
Hmm.
foundational habits, anti-inflammatory nutrition. So eating some of your favorite things, but just slightly different to avoid a flare so you can keep going. Things like that. So I'm super excited about all the things because these are things that I've been able to do throughout the entirety of my wellness journey, being an exercise physiologist. But I know there's that 76% of Americans that are out there that are scared to move, right?
Yeah, of
Like, if I
course.
move too much, I'm going to hurt and I'm not going to be able to get up tomorrow, kind of thing. Or pushing too hard or not doing enough. Also, not incorporating things like nutrition and nervous system regulation. So, I'm jacked up about all the things that the Balance app is going to bring because I lived it. And now I hope to bring my success with my story to you guys. But I'm curious, as the behind the scenes guy, the software engineer guy, what aspect of the new Balance app are you most excited about? Maybe from a coding cool feature standpoint, but also maybe from a like a lifestyle standpoint. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I think obviously there are technical challenges to any app, and tracking lifestyle habits and things like that. Not something I've done previous in my career. So there is that interesting challenge of it. But I think more so the really interesting part is, over the course of, since mobile phones, really iPods have been, right,
iPods.
iPod Touch, where apps were first started out, came into existence, everyone was always like, "Oh, hey, I have this idea," or "I have an idea
Mm-hmm.
for that," and that what the one of the constant responses I have is, "Oh, well, there's an app for that." Like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be done. Everyone will say, "Oh, there's probably an app for that," and you just go search a store, and it's there. And I think the most exciting part of this rebrand, this reinvention, is that answer is kind of no, there isn't an app for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that part piques my interest most and re-motivates me to work on things like this, in addition to my day job, in addition to us working to solve your health complications when we're already exhausted. Like, what keeps us going? I think that part for me, knowing that we can help not only yourself but others fighting the same problems, and that it's really not out there, I think is a huge win and motivational goal for
Yeah,
myself.
and it's not a small population like we
Right,
just
right.
talked about, and in the marketing world, right? Everyone tells you niche, niche, niche. You got to find your market, and I
Hmm.
always hated that word. I feel like everybody hates that word
It
because
feels limiting.
you want to help everybody, right? And but niching your market here, and I think that's essentially what we're doing here with the Balance Rebrown app. But niching in this sense is not by any means like making the amount of people that we're going to help smaller.
Right.
It's massive amounts of people that are suffering all the time. And I'm excited that we can take our story and all the hard lessons we learned and hopefully help a lot of people with everything that we've learned. So, speaking of everything that we've learned, there's so many things on my health journey that I learned along the way that I'm able now to like working one on one with my clients. People coming to me now with mold exposure or Lyme or this or that. Like, I am treating them based on what I've learned on my own journey. Like, this is not going to work, or you can't start this before that, etc. Like, there's so many things that I wish I knew the day I found out I had mold because I would take a whole different approach and I
Right.
think I would have gotten better a lot faster, so to say. But for you, what's something that you know right now that you can share with our audience that you wish you knew when I first started breaking out or when I first left a doctor's appointment, hysterical crying, like from the spouses and supportive point of view? What's something that you learned that you wish you knew back then that you could share with our audience if they're going through it right now?
I think it would be to just trust your instincts more. Um, yes, you'll be visiting with many health professionals, and they do know their stuff. and they've put in the work in their education and background. But in the end, you know your body best. You live with it every day, and you may have a meeting with them once a month or once every couple of weeks, and it may be 15 minutes, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. We've gotten lucky with some practitioners that really give us time. But in the end, you understand how food affects you, how stress affects you, how just day to day work, anything you're doing, fitness level, an intense workout, how that all changes what you have going on, and to not let somebody else just close a door on you because you might be in your 30s and like you should be fine. Um, don't let someone tell you that being tired is just okay. I think it's okay to continue to pursue the feelings behind that and the root cause behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, being a more fortunate person with less complications and having most of my health readily available, your mind doesn't go there at first because you should go to the doctors and then hear them out, and then what they say is gospel essentially, and
Mm-hmm.
it should all be okay after that. But I think going through with you and time again, and that not being the case, or us still being left with figuring out more after that,
Mm-hmm.
um, when we started to speak up and really dish out an entire timeline of experience and symptoms and what we did and what we tried, we saw more benefit and more collaborative and brainstorming with certain practitioners that went a lot further, and things have gotten better since, making progress. We're still not out of the woods yet, but
Yeah.
that's one thing I wish I thought about more in its early phases.
Like speaking up more and trusting our gut,
Yeah.
even though they're gospel, right? They're the professionals, but
Yeah. I use this analogy all the time. Like, everyone takes their car to go get work done or inspected, but everyone feels like they're either getting ripped off or they seek a second opinion or
yeah.
a third opinion, because whether you don't like the cost or you just really that sound coming from my car can't be that big of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we seem reluctant to do that in the health space.
Yeah.
Um, but we speak up like in a mechanic's office or something.
Yeah.
And I think just, yeah, approaching the problem and the problems you may have that way, um, second, third opinions are good and helpful in finally overcoming some of these issues.
Yeah. So to close out, now, you've mentioned we're still trying to get over this last hurdle with my own health journey. But the thoughts of helping others has been motivating for us and, our fuel, so to say, to keep
Mm-hmm.
on going. But moving forward, we will get over this hurdle, this last hurdle. And I think that for both of us, our not necessarily goals, but values, so to say, what we value in life, and we look forward to and what we treasure and things like that. Um, it has changed
Mm-hmm.
after having been through this. So, putting this last hurdle hopefully behind us in the next couple months, what are you most hopeful for and excited for moving forward with our future?
I'm excited for knowing that we can overcome anything.
Mm.
Um, it's, you don't wish this upon anyone, but having gone through it, I think it's exciting to get to a time where we're not thinking about it, where we're living our dreams instead of trying to muster up motivation to even just dream again, because I think a lot of that's been shut down over the years, and or just been difficult because we're out of willpower and energy.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, pursuing some of those dreams, helping others pursue those dreams and getting to that point is has me excited for times ahead, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So, if you are out there and you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming you either just love us, because most people do, or you are in the trenches with a similar situation. And Frank and I want you to know that we see you. You're absolutely not alone. This is by far the hardest thing that we have ever been through. And I can tell you right now that he'll never get rid of me after this, because we have grown so much closer, built so much trust, and there is hope. But you got to just keep kind of mustering through and pick up. What did I say the other day? I said the saying wrong. Pull up my bootstraps, right? I wanted to say pull up my bootstraps, but I couldn't think of the saying, and he's cracking up laughing at me. But sometimes you gotta take a break. You've gotta cry. You've gotta be in survival mode for time periods. But then I encourage you to pull up your bootstraps and ask for a second opinion. Communicate your feelings to your spouse, and try to keep moving, because there can be healing. And we hope that the Balance app can be a piece of your healing journey moving forward. So, with that, the new Balance app, we're gearing up for, we're saying November, because we don't want to give a hard date and then it not work out like it always.
App Store review
App
process.
Store. For any of you out there, if you've never created an app before, getting it through the App Store is very difficult and frustrating and time consuming, and we've been there before. So we are shooting for just a couple weeks from now. I will put the link in the show notes if you are interested in checking out the Balance app. If you think this would be a good fit for your journey, get yourself on the waiting list. We are doing a founding member deal. It's a lifetime discounted annual rate that we will not offer anymore once the app is live. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you're looking for something that encompasses whole health for somebody dealing with chronic symptoms or a chronic illness or a medical puzzle, the Balance app is going to be where you're going to find all those things that you'll need to get you through your day to day and minimize the symptoms, minimize the flares, so that you can keep on keeping on with the life that you want to have. So thank you so much for being here, Frank.
Thanks for finally having me.
Yeah. I hope I can get you on again sometime soon. And we'll come back here to 221B Studios with Matt. This has been a great experience. And as always, make sure to reach out to me. I am super accessible. I want to help. Any little bit that I help someone is fuel for my own healing journey. So shoot me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, any of the things. I'd be happy to hear from you and help if I can. So thanks for joining us. Everybody have a great week. Bye.